Zohran Mamdani surges in new poll, leading Andrew Cuomo for the first time in New York mayor's race. Now, this is not an example of Democrats suck. This, if you're a progressive, I think is incredible news. It's very, very encouraging. Progressive challenger Zohran Mamdani now leading Andrew Cuomo, the epitome of centrist New York liberalism. This is really, really exciting if you care about progressive politics.
And not even liberalism. I would just push back a little bit, or not push back. I would just say that, I mean, it's not even liberalism. It is centrist, as you said, but I almost feel like it's just radical centrism. He can't even tick the liberal box.
So how is the Cuomo campaign and their allies handling this? Well, check out this latest mailer that they're releasing to the people of New York City. And this comes via Zohran Mamdani's Twitter page. He says, Andrew Cuomo is afraid he'll lose, so his donors want you to fear me. His super PAC just sent out a mailer that artificially lengthened and darkened my beard. This is blatant Islamophobia. So look at the pictures and let's zoom in on this. So there's the original. There's the original on the left, short beard. And then on the mailer, they his beard even bigger. That is Andrew Cuomo's super PAC. And that's the length that they're going to try to paint.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. So that's what they're trying to do. I mean, as he says, this is exactly what he called it, blatant Islamophobia. But I like this comment from Will Menaker of Chapo Trap House. Racism aside, it's extremely funny that they can't find or edit one photo of this guy where he doesn't look good.
Pretty true. He is pretty photogenic. You got to hand it to him. Will's comment reminds me a bit of AOC. That's another challenge for people who are critical of AOC. And of course, we're critical of certain things about AOC, like her saying that Kamala Harris was working tirelessly for a ceasefire. But she's an equally hard person for people to try to dunk on physically. Very photogenic. And she has a lot of haters, so they certainly try.
Well, Mamdani is very photogenic, and he's got a lot of policies that appeal to progressive people. For example, government subsidized grocery stores. But they're really doubling down on this Islamophobia thing because Zohran Mamdani is the one candidate in the frontrunner field who won't bow down to Israel. In fact, he supports BDS, and he's been very critical of Israel's genocide in Gaza. And they're trying to make that an issue, but perhaps the tide is turning. And we've seen this in the polls where a lot of Democrats that used to support Israel don't anymore as a result of its mass murder campaign in Gaza since October 7th. So in fact, Mamdani's stance on Palestine, in which he's critical of Israel, might actually be an asset when usually in campaigns like this, they're not. And that really is a sign of changing times.
I got to say, Aaron, I'm a little surprised that Cuomo isn't more sensitive to Mamdani and his beard, because he famously is an intersectionalist who identifies with various marginalized groups. I am a Jew, I am a gay, as a New Yorker, I am Black.
As a New Yorker, I am a Muslim. As a New Yorker, I am Jewish. As a New Yorker, I am Black, I am gay, I am disabled. I am a woman seeking to control her health and her choices, because as a New Yorker, we are one community.
I would have expected better. So for Republicans suck, let's start off with our good old friend, Steve Wickoff. While giving a speech at a gala for United Hatzalah, which is an Israeli EMS volunteer-based service, on Wednesday night, he had some interesting things to say about Trump's abilities to lead Israel. And also, of course, some hardline talk on the Iran nuclear negotiations. Let's take a listen.
No disrespect to Prime Minister Netanyahu, who I actually spoke to today. I think the President, Trump, could be the first sitting president who could also be the Prime Minister of Israel at the same time. President Trump's leadership has been unwavering in defending Israel's right to exist and thrive. From moving the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, to recognizing Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights, to signing the executive order protecting Jewish students on college campuses, President Trump has consistently demonstrated that he has been the strongest United States president ever for the people of Israel, and the fiercest combatant of anti-Semitism, both at home and abroad.
A couple of things to say about this part of the clip. It's interesting how much Wickoff is just leaning into the America secondism, right? I mean, Trump ran as an American first guy, and here is Wickoff basically saying that Trump is a leader or should be the next leader or would make a better leader of Israel than Netanyahu. Also, I'm not sure how accurate it is that Trump is the best friend for Israel, because is retired Israeli general and former ambassador to the U.S. under Biden, Michael Herzog, said, God did the state of Israel a favor that Biden was the president during this period. We fought in Gaza for over a year, and the administration never came to us and said, ceasefire now. So I don't know. Trump has been very enabling of Israel, as we know, but he did have a short ceasefire. It was kind of a fake ceasefire, but he actually at least just kind of superficially had a ceasefire, which is way more than Biden would do. And, you know, of course, when he's talking about how Trump is a supporter of Jewish students, as we pointed out before, you know, which Jewish students? Obviously not the anti-Zionist ones. And as Project Esther specifically lists Jewish Voice for Peace as a Hamas support organization, or HSO as they're calling it.
This is the guy who's supposed to be Trump's top diplomat right now, negotiating with Iran at a time when there's increased talk of an Israeli or U.S.-Israeli strike on Iran. And he goes before a gala celebration of an Israeli group that put out fabricated tales of atrocities on October 7th. And again, there were actual atrocities by Palestinian militants on October 7th, but not the ones that United Herzliya put out. They talked about burned babies, for example, among other claims that just were not true. And he goes and he just talks about how what a great friend to Israel Donald Trump is, and Trump could be prime minister of Israel. And how is any country supposed to negotiate with the U.S. right now, especially if you're Iran, if like they're openly bragging about how tight they are with Iran's biggest adversary?
Yeah, that's a really good point, right? How are you supposed to even pretend to be a negotiator or a diplomat when you're so wedded to one side? So how is that supposed to be seen by Iran? But also, what about by Palestinians? And Aaron, you brought up Iran, and that's a good thing because Wickoff actually speaks about Iran. Let's go back to that clip.
We must also address the threat posed by Iran. Iran must never be permitted to enrich uranium or develop any nuclear capability.
Amen. Amen. Okay, by the way, do you hear? I don't know if you can hear this terrible person in the background. This woman says, amen, amen. We're going to blow their asses out of the water.
This is where I ad-lib. I get off the teleprompter and I say, I wish my 93-year-old Jewish mom from the Bronx was here because Yossi Cohen, the ex-head of the Mossad, just clapped for me.
Besides the fact that what he's saying is offensive on many levels, it's so rich that these people claim to fight anti-Semitism, because this is pretty great fodder for anti-Semitism to see Steve Wickoff get up on stage, talk about how Donald Trump could be the next leader of Israel, dual loyalty trope, and also brag about his relationship with the head of Mossad. If you want to spread the conspiracy theory about Jews running the world, all we're missing is his like giving a shout out to George Soros, which of course he wouldn't do because he's considered like a liberal. But it's just these people have no idea the kind of image that they're putting out into the world of Jews, that just happens to be a bonus of what makes this so funny. I mean, what's so problematic, obviously, is what he's saying about how close the United States is to Israel, which is a dangerous thing in itself, and also his hawkish line on Iran, which is dangerous in itself. But like the cherry on top is how much he's leaning into anti-Semitic stereotypes.
Everyone has different things that they find impressive. I mean, some people will find it impressive that the former head of Mossad claps for you. Other people might find it more impressive that you actually, if you're a diplomat, for example, trying to broker peace deals, that you spend your time brokering peace deals rather than bragging about how the former Israeli spy chief gives you some applause because you push some warmongering talking points. And on that front, we'll have our guest this week, Vali Nasr, respond to Steve Wickoff and specifically his claims that Iran cannot enrich uranium in today's interview. So stay tuned for that.